Alright, gentlemen, welcome to yet another exciting episode of World Traveler. And since nobody guessed my location last video, the competition is still open, so whoever guesses my location will get as a reward a wine glass emoji in comments, since we are, hint hint, in a wine producing country. Anyways, we gotta talk about, once again, Russian jets have violated Estonian airspace, and they have also flown very close to the ground, or more exactly to the sea, near a Polish oil platform, oil derrick in the Baltic Sea. So once more, a new incursion. Once more, Russia is testing the boundaries of what NATO countries are willing to do to defend themselves, to defend their airspace. And once again, the alliance has been caught flat-footed. And in the case of the Estonian jets, while NATO forces have scrambled to escort them out, by the time the NATO jets were up, the Russians had already left Estonian airspace. So this is the kind of provocation which must not go unpunished. Like I've said numerous times before on this channel, the Russians don't really understand any language except strength. They will threaten escalation, they will rattle the saber, they will threaten nukes, yada yada yada. Truth is, their nukes don't even work. Nukes are very complicated machines, and they need maintenance, and the Russians, well, they've been bleeding human capital like crazy for the past 200 years. 300, actually more than 300 years, but let's leave it at that. And I think that something broke in the 90s, and they're essentially no longer able to develop or even maintain complex systems. And nuclear weapons are, of course, a very, very complex systems. And they don't even have the will to use these weapons, because as we know, they are press-ganging the missile forces. They are press-ganging missileers into serving as line infantry in Ukraine. You don't press gang missileers as line infantry if you want to use your missile forces. No, what you do, that indicates that the state intends to not use the missile forces, that it prioritizes infantry over missile forces, and it means they won't be nuking anyone. But all of that aside, fundamentally, war is not just fought on the battlefield or with weapons or even with men, but it's fought in the hearts and minds of men. What people believe and what their instincts are, and what they find themselves, the positions they find themselves in, are far more important in war than anything else. I mean, obviously weapons are important, and obviously logistics is important, and procurement, and enlistment, and reconstitution, and grand strategy, and alliances, but fundamentally, even if you are objectively winning a war and you believe you're losing it, because that's what war is. War is a human affair, and human belief matters in human affairs. Well, anyways, having said all of that, we have to once again delve into the nethers of the Russian psyche. Yes, I know, you have to put up with the smell. It's been there since forever. It's like that. It's just the nature of the beast. But fundamentally, Russians are creatures which do not understand diplomatic language. They understand strength. So with them, we cannot act in a Christian manner, mostly because Russia is not a Christian state. It's a state like the religion of Russians is slavery, essentially. They worship. They have a state cult. They worship the Tsar. They believe themselves to be slaves of the Tsar, and all that they will ever be, all that they will amount to be. And that's what they are, fundamentally. So you don't turn the other cheek with Russians. If they strike you on the left cheek, do not turn the right on Russians, but rip off the offending arm and beat them with it. That's the only appropriate response to Russian provocation. And for that, I give you the example. In 2015, Russians violated Turkish airspace twice. The first time, they got off with a warning. The second time, the Turks shot down the airplane and the pilot was killed. And the Russians have done but fuck nothing against Turkey. And People are saying, oh well, but Turkey is larger than Estonia. It's got a bigger army. It's got better prepared air defense systems. Well, newsflash. I mean, Turkey's air defense systems, some of them are Russian. The Russians could have just shut them down remotely. It was not a question of size or weapons. It was a question of willingness to fight back. If you haven't got the will to fight back, if you haven't got the balls to shoot down an airplane which invades your airspace, well, it doesn't really matter how well armed you are. And if you have the balls, well, then the Russians are just like that. They will back down. And god damn it, sun getting into my it really is a challenge to avoid doxing these people, to avoid just recording passersby. It's a very crowded city. Not telling you which one it is. You gotta guess that. Anyways, and if you want more evidence that this is simply the way the Russians think is, who is the most revered figure in Russian history? Stalin. What is Stalin best known for? Killing a bunch of Russians. So essentially, the Russians respect people who kill them, starve them, destroy them. And unless we start shooting down Russian airplanes and drones, which violate NATO airspace, the European airspace, well, they're never going to respect us. And if they don't respect us, they're never going to treat with us. We will never be able to withstand their aggression. So this is what must be done. Next time a Russian airplane enters Polish or Lithuanian or Latvian or Estonian or Romanian or whatever the fuck airspace, Norwegian, Finnish, Turkish, we shoot it down. If the pilot ejects and survives and parachutes into European territory, we deport that cocksucker to Ukraine because, well, he's a VKS pilot. That's the Russian Air Force, VKS. I'm not sure what that stands for, to be honest. Yeah, these people are dropping bombs on civilian targets in Ukraine. I'm pretty sure he's guilty of some war crimes. And once he's deported to Ukraine, this guy can stand trial for his war crimes, which I'm absolutely fucking sure he has committed as a VKS pilot. And if not, he can be added to the exchange fund in exchange for Ukrainian prisoners of war. And, if he's found guilty, he's going to spend the rest of his miserable life in Ukrainian prison. And that would send a very powerful message to the Russians. Do not fuck with us. And this alone would do a lot to assuage fears for European security. There are currently forces in the Eastern European nations, the ones where it's very impolitic to suggest that Russia is a friendly or good state. I'm talking here about Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, right? To a certain degree, Poland, although in Poland you actually have pro-Russian politicians, which is insane, but I don't know. I mean, we've done a video about Poland, and here the basically pro-Kremlin narrative is like, oh, the Russians are so horrible, therefore we cannot support Ukraine, we need our weapons for ourselves, right? Well, here's a very handy counterpoint to that. First of all, the more Russians the Ukrainians kill, the less we have to contend with. That's just the reality of the thing. The second is, okay, yeah, we need to defend ourselves. We need to protect ourselves, the Russians. So the next time they buzz our airspace, we shoot them the fuck down. And we let them know that this is the destiny of every Russian that sets foot, or Finn, or airfoil into Estonia or Romania or Poland or Finland or wherever the fuck in Europe they show up, Spain, if Russian airplanes enter Spanish airspace, this also applies. So that's the lesson for today, gentlemen. If someone comes at you and threatens you, thumbs your nose at them, sometimes it's wise not to cause a scene, but sometimes this person's psychology, this country's sociology and psychology, whatever you want to call it, is such that it only understands force, and unless you respond with force and overwhelming force, you will get just stepped on, even though you may, in objective terms, be the stronger. Never forget that war, like all other human affairs, exists primarily in the human mind. The spirit, The mind can overcome the body, the spirit can, in certain cases, overcome matter. And that's all I had for you today. Cheers.